Remember those sleepless nights when your kids were babies? Back then, it was all bottles, stuffed animals, and wondering if you'll ever sleep longer than 3 hours again. Fast forward 20-something years, and guess what? You're still losing sleep. But now, it's not because of diapers. It's because you're lying awake thinking, should I text him to remind him about that job interview? Should I warn her that her boyfriend looks like the kind of guy who owns a snake and calls it his business partner? Or should I just shut up and scroll Instagram in silence? Welcome to the world of parenting adult children. Nobody really tells you the rules for this phase. It's like being fired from a job you didn't even know you were quitting. Your kids basically say, "Thanks for raising me, I'll take it from here." And you're left wondering, so, do I still have a job? Or am I just the unpaid emotional support department? Jim Burns' book, Doing Life with Your Adult Children, is basically the guidebook we all wish had come in the hospital gift bag right after birth, except it's for the sequel nobody prepared us for. So, what's the deal? Here are the main lessons. First, you're not a manager anymore. You're a mentor. Big difference. Managers hand out tasks and tell people what to do. Mentors share wisdom and let people decide for themselves. Instead of, you should quit that job, try. When I was in a similar situation, here's what I learned. Boom. Same intention, way less eye-rolling from your kids. Second, unsolicited advice is just criticism in disguise. Ouch, I know. Parents are wired to give advice. It's in our DNA. But when you drop those helpful tips about their career, haircut, or love life, they don't hear wisdom. They hear, "You're still 12, and I don't trust you." And that doesn't end well. The trick? Talk less, listen more. Ask questions, not lectures. Third, the eternal struggle, helping versus enabling. Example time. Dylan is 23, dropped out of college, still lives at home, and somehow the fridge is always empty. His parents lecture him about responsibility, but also do his laundry, cover his Netflix, and cook him dinner at 10 p.m. Why would Dylan change? He's basically living at an all-inclusive resort. Contrast that with Amanda, who got a DUI. Her parents could have bailed her out with a fancy lawyer, but instead they let her face the music. And guess what? She learned more from that experience than any lecture could have taught. That's the difference between helping and enabling. One builds independence, the other just keeps the training wheels on forever. Fourth, the boomerang effect. Yep, adult kids moving back home. Sometimes it makes sense. Student loans, job markets, rent that costs more than your first house. But it comes with new tension. Suddenly, you're back to waiting up at midnight because they're not home yet. But remember, they didn't have a curfew at college, so they're not going to accept one now. The solution? Clear boundaries. Chores, expenses, expectations. Not because you're punishing them, but because you're still training them for independence. Just in a different way. Now let's talk about big problems. There's that old saying, small kids, small problems. Big kids, big problems. When your child makes choices that go completely against your values, dating the wrong person, money disasters, even addictions, it can rip your heart out. But Burns stresses that tough love is sometimes the only real love. Their crisis doesn't automatically have to be your crisis. And don't become a one-topic parent, the one who only talks about the problem. Keep seeing your kid as a whole person, not just a walking mistake. And here's a gold nugget: financial support. Most parents still help their adult kids with money. Totally normal. But at some point, helping can actually sabotage independence. Burns says you need a plan. Set timelines, clear expectations, and don't just keep the ATM of mom and dad running forever. Remember, good financial habits usually come from bad decisions. If you always rescue them, you rob them of that hard but necessary experience. At the heart of the book is this: love your kids unconditionally, but stop trying to control them. Your legacy isn't in solving their problems. It's in giving them the confidence to solve problems themselves, knowing you've got their back no matter what. And hey, before you go running off to hide your wallet from your 27-year-old gamer son, who still needs your Netflix password, do me a favor. Hit that subscribe button. Think of it as setting a boundary with me. I promise not to lecture you, but if you don't subscribe, I might start giving you unsolicited advice about your hairstyle. And nobody wants that. So, if you're figuring out this whole parenting adults thing, remember, you're not alone. You're still their parent. But the job description changed. Less micromanaging, more mentoring, less rescuing, more boundaries, and way more fun if you let it be. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one, assuming my adult child hasn't changed the Netflix password on me by then.